Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will explain what segments in Google Analytics 4 are and where can you use them and where you cannot. Segments in Google Analytics allow you to slice your data and analyze a certain subset. For example, you can analyze your checkout process by comparing your mobile and desktop users. Segmenting data is the key to unlocking some powerful insights, and in this video I will show you how to create segments and where you can use them and where you cannot. Let's come to Google Analytics 4. This is the demo account. Go to Explore section. You can apply segments in various exploration reports. Let's start with freeform. Click on it. Here you can see some predefined report. Right now this report shows the data of all visitors who have visited this site in this period of time. And if you want to narrow down your data set, one of the options can be segment. Here you will find 5 predefined segments. But if you want, you can dive deeper and create your own. First of all, let's try to add one of these predefined segments. For example, I want to add segments viewers. Just double click on it and you can see that segments appeared here, and you can do the same by just dragging and dropping it here. And once you add that segment right here, you will also see an indication in table. Here you can see how that segment is using different categories of devices like desktop, mobile, tablet, and in some reports, for example this one as well, you can add multiple segments at the same time and compare their data. So let's say I want to compare US versus Canada traffic. However, there is no Canada segments here. Therefore, I can create a new one, and you can do that by just clicking on this plus icon, and then you can select the type of segments like user segments, session segments, or event segments. I will explain the differences between these segments later in this video, but right now let's take a look at the user segments. So I will click, and then I want to include all user when country ID will match Canada. Click on it and select here country. Here you can see country ID. Select it and add a filter. By default you can see content, but I will select exactly match and search for the country code Canada. Here you can see CA appeared. Select it, check this checkbox and click apply. Now I am naming it Canada and click save and apply. Keep in mind that this segment right now will be applied to this particular exploration report. So it will be not available in other exploration report, and if you want to use that there, then you will have to build a segment from scratch. And once you create the segment, it is automatically added right here. And now you have multiple columns. Now this report looks quite crowded. For example, we do not need city. Here you can see dimensions, metrics, and here you can see city. Here you can see active users, that is the part of metrics, and city is the part of dimensions. You can create your report in your own way according to your requirement. You can do all from here. You just need to find whatever segments, dimension, and metrics you need and just drag it here. So now again come to the segment. We have US and Canada, but what if you want to compare US versus all the country? For example, let's say if you need to compare traffic of US and all the other country, unfortunately there is not any predefined segments for all users, so we will have to create one. Maybe in the future they will offer, but right now we will have to create one. Click on this plus icon, click on user segments, name the segments. I am naming it all users, and here we will have to add some conditions that will match any user that has visited our site, and that can be done by entering the following conditions. Click on it, enter here page path, and here you can see page path plus query history. Select it and then set a condition. Click on it. Here we can say that if page path contains less, then we want to include those users in the segment. That will always be true, because in this case what are we telling is that if a visitor sends any event on any page that contains the slash spoiler alert slash in every page URL, or actually in every page path, then this condition will be met. Now we can click this checkbox right here to make sure that if at any point in time a visitor has visited a URL of which page path contains less, then we will include that. And here you will see a preview of the size of segment, and you can see that this matches 100% of all the sessions. Here you can see 100% of all sessions. Now click apply and click on save and apply. Now I can compare the US number and all users. So this was the example where you can apply segments. Now we will take a closer look at what kind of function and features do you have in segments. So let's click on this plus icon and let's take a look what we have. So first of all, I have mentioned before you can create three type of segments. One is user segment, the other one is session segment, and then event segment. If you have worked in the past with Universal Analytics, which is the older version, you should already be familiar with user segments and session segments. However, there is a very welcome addition in Google Analytics 4, which is called event segments. You can see right here, because this one was not available in Universal Analytics. Now let me explain what do these segments mean and how are they different. Let's say that we have one user and that user visited our site twice. The first session consisted of two page views event and one click, and the second session was page views, then add to cart, then checkout, where an event name was add to cart. So in other words, I want to create a segment of users that have added product to a cart at any point of time. So if I create a segment like this, then it means that events of both session will be included in my analysis. So even though in this session no add to cart was done, I am right now looking for user, not session. Therefore, my exploration report will be showing data that is coming from the user, not from a particular session. So in other words, it will match all sessions if at least one session had add to cart. Now let's say that I want to create a session segment and I want to include only those sessions where there was at least one add to cart event. Now in that case, only events of this session will be included in the report, and these page views or clicks or whatever, they will be ignored. So as I have already said, these two types of segments were also available in Universal Analytics. But what if you only want to include certain events in your report and nothing else? For example, what if I want to see only add to cart data? I don't want to include page views or checkout. I just want to see add to cart events. For that, you will need to create a event segment. So if I create an event segment where the event name is add to cart, that report with that segment will show only add to cart data. Now let's take a look what other feature can we have in segments. Click on this plus icon and click on user segment. Here you can add separate condition group. So for example, here you can have one condition, then you can have another condition. For example, let's say that I want to see data of users who have added anything to cart. Click on it, search here cart, select add to cart. And also they have started checkout. So click here and search for begin checkout. Here you can see begin checkout. Click on it. Then you can set whether this should happen. Now click on this icon and here you can set whether this should happen within the same session or across all the sessions of any user. So here for example, I could have this configured within the same session, and then I have mentioned I could add another condition and change the scope right here. You can add more condition by clicking here, or you can remove them by clicking this trash icon. Another thing that is really useful in user segment is sequences. Here you can see sequences. So if you have ever worked with Universal Analytics, you should already be familiar with them because they were also available in segment right there. So if you want to add a sequence and you don't need any other condition group, you should first remove your existing condition. So click on this trash icon and here you can click on add sequence. So now you can include users who have met sequence of events. In the previous example where I had two events, that was add to cart and begin checkout, the order of these events did not matter. If for some reason the visitor could send the begin checkout event first and only then add to cart, that user's data would still be included in the report. But here we can define specific order in which those events should happen. So for example, let's say that we want to track how many users viewed a promotion on a site, or in other words, show some banner on your website. Click on it, search for promotion. Here you can see view promotion, select it, and then made a purchase, let's say within 30 minutes. And this is where another cool feature in Google Analytics 4 is introduced. So I can add here, click add steps and click on it, search for purchase. Here you can see purchase, select it, and here you can see 5 minutes. You can set here 30 minutes. So in this way, I can say that within 30 minutes of viewing that promotion, a purchase should happen. So in this segment, we will include all sessions of users who had at least one session where the visitor viewed a promotion and made a purchase within 30 minutes. On the right side of segment creation window, you will also see a checkbox, build an audience. So mostly audiences are used in Google Analytics 4 for two reasons. The first one would be to retarget those audiences with Google Ad, because you can create an audiences and then import it to Google Ad, and also you can use audiences in other reports outside of exploration, because segments are for exploration only, and if you want to use that particular segment in other places, you will have to build audiences. What you have probably already noticed is that in this section you are including users that match certain criteria, but if you want to exclude certain users, you should then use the exclude section right here, where you can add additional condition or maybe sequences, and those visitors will be excluded from segments. Now again, let's come to segments. Click on this plus icon. Here you can see another section which is suggested segments. Because when we create a custom segment, you will start from scratch, but there are some suggested segments as well. And there are things like recently active users or people who have made a purchase. There are also some templates right here. But also here is one thing where machine learning and all that AI thing that was promoted when GA4 launched. So here is one of the areas where that part is used. So let's go to the predictive part. Click on it, and here you will see some segment like people who likely buy within the next 7 days. So you could build a segment by clicking this, and later you can click right here and use that audience for retargeting in Google Ad. Then there are some other options like people who likely churning. In other words, they will stop using your services or product within next 7 days. Then people who spend the most in the last 4 weeks and so on. However, keep in mind that this is not for small businesses. There are some threshold that must be met in order to use these segments and maybe even use them as audiences. For more information, search in Google Predictive Metrics in GA4. Here you can see, click on it. Here I am landed on the official documentation of Google Analytics 4. Here you can see the metrics and its definition, prerequisites. These are the requirement, or in other words, the prerequisites for the predictive metrics to work. So for example, here you will need to have at least 1000 returning users who have made purchase and at least 1000 users who did not make purchase the last 28 days. So as you can see, we would need to have a high volume of purchases. In other words, have those purchase probability and other metrics that are used in predictive audiences. I will add the link of this official documentation of Google Analytics 4 in the description of this video. So that is how you can create and use segments in Google Analytics 4. Thanks for watching.